2009 left Seattle Sonics fans devastated.
It's our desire to have the Sonics and Storm remain in Seattle.
But the ownership group has already said it wants to move to Oklahoma City.
Because next month, the relocation committee of the National Basketball Association is going to
vote on allowing the franchise to move.
I almost cried, to be honest with you, because it was, people saying this might be the last game in Seattle, and, the fans came out the night.
The NBA will be in Oklahoma City next season.
After the ownership changed back in 2006, the new owner Clay Bennett decided to relocate the team to Oklahoma City. Fans were distraught. While OKC fans got to see a team come to their hometown, Sonics fans saw a 41-year legacy thrown in the dumpster. So how did one of the biggest cities in America lose their beloved team?
Not so long ago, Seattle was the face of basketball. With stars like Jack Sikma, Gus Williams, and Dennis Johnson in the 70s, the Sonics became a must-watch team. Fan support was at an all-time high, with them setting the attendance record. For such an unpopular era in basketball, the Sonics thrived. So in 1978, because of the rise in fandom, they moved out of the Seattle Coliseum and into the King Dome, which they shared with the Seahawks and the Mariners.
It's here where they won the championship in 1979. However, that was the peak. In 1985, after coming back down to earth and having a few average years, the Sonics would move back to the Coliseum, which was later renamed to Key Arena. Here's where the Sonics started to take off though. Although they did trade Scottie Pippen on draft night,
The Seattle SuperSonics select Scott Pippen.
in the following years they would make up for it. In '89, they drafted Shawn Kemp, aka the Rain Man. In the next year, they drafted Gary Payton, aka the Glove. The Rain Man and the Glove were an insane duo. Definitely the best team in the 90s.
On second thought.
Nevertheless, in '96 they made a finals appearance, but were no match for the 72-10 Bulls. Arguably, Kemp should have won the finals MVP that series.
On top of that, Key Arena was such a difficult stadium to play in. The intensity was unmatched, making for a great home court advantage. Unfortunately, they had the smallest seating capacity in the NBA, which would bite them in the back in the future. You'd think they would have a lot of momentum coming back from the finals, right? Wrong. The following year, Shawn Kemp didn't even get his payday, which played a huge factor in him leaving the Sonics. And after a series of unfortunate events, in 2001, the Sonics were sold to Howard Schultz. This is where the story starts. After giving power to the Starbucks CEO, the Sonics were sent down to a dark path.
Schultz was all about business, and this angered Peyton and Vin Baker.
And I think what he did wrong was he tried to run an organization of basketball like a coffee business. It doesn't work that way
At all.
Schultz was willing to cut down on players' salaries for his own means. This rubbed Peyton the wrong way, setting him up for his departure. Fortunately, they got a young Ray Allen in replacement, but that wasn't enough for the Sonics. To lay it all out, they simply sucked. In a comeback to Schultz, he was making moves again. Schultz would consistently complain about Key Arena. Whether it's the size, seating capacity, or even the quality overall, Schultz despised it. On top of having a terrible team in an aged arena, the Sonics were burning through cash.
In '06, Schultz asked for $220 million for a Key Arena remodel. The city ended up declining the offer. The Sonics' time in Seattle was ticking, so after a short 5 years, Schultz sold the team to Clay Bennett. Schultz made it clear that this would put the Sonics in a better position to compete. However, his intentions with the deal are still unknown. Bennett was a businessman from Oklahoma that helped bring the Hornets to OKC, so it's safe to say that he had already had some experience with the NBA.
Bennett's goal was to try to renovate Key Arena by the following year. On top of that, the Sonics were struggling, and I mean struggling. In the 2006-2007 season, the Sonics placed 14th in the standings. Despite all this, Bennett did draft KD the following year.
The Seattle SuperSonics select Kevin Durant.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that Bennett made no effort to keep the Sonics in Seattle. So in 2008, the decision was made to move the Sonics to OKC. When NBA teams voted upon it, it was a 28-2 vote. So the only thing stopping them was the city of Seattle. And although they tried, it was no match. So that brings us to now, where the relatively new OKC Thunder are thriving. But that's not to say that basketball won't have a future in Seattle.
Would it mean more to you to be in the Hall of Fame or for Seattle to get the Sonics back?
It would absolutely mean more for me for the Sonics to come back.
Do you want to be a part of the Seattle SuperSonics if it was available to you at some point in your life?
Without a doubt.
Right now, at this moment, I have an announcement to make.